It's just scary, because as I said, there's that whole community pressure. So you feel like every time you're unlearning or questioning, you feel like everybody is gonna be on your case, like, oh my God, why is he doing this? And you know how we say it in our community, even if even if you're trying to do something for yourself, they're like, no, you're just doing it so that you can try and be like that. And you're like, it's nothing to do with trying to be like that. It's trying to be me, who I am.
Born and raised in the motherland, chasing a better life. Story of an immigrant. Concrete pastures. Concrete pastures.
Concrete pastures.
Hello, family. You are listening to Concrete Pastures. I am Nancy Mulembwasisi. Being an immigrant has been one of the most challenging and extraordinary experiences of my life. It inspired me to create a platform to reach out to my fellow immigrants and dreamers. The goal is to provide a space for myself and others to share our stories as we deconstruct the world's view of immigrant status. We discuss issues that are important to us in the diaspora. We celebrate the joys, the laughs, the bravery that being an immigrant brings. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We appreciate your support. To all of our new listeners, welcome to the family. If you haven't heard already, we do have an app out. Concrete Pastures app is out on Google Play. You can download it for free. While you're there, leave us a review. Let us know what you think about it. Share it with your family and friends, your followers on social media. Tag us as you continue to share. We appreciate you for all of those that have shared already. And let our guests know what you think. What resonated with you, with their story. Let us know. We love hearing from you. On today's guest, oh my goodness, the power of community. I love it. I met him in Padbreak, and also we are in the same group in the community called ZPad. This is for all podcasters all over the world that are Zambians. And Padbreak is a community of podcasters that are Africans all over the world. So I love it. And it's a great space to be, both spaces are great spaces to be in. And they pour into each of us differently, because one is really managed in Zambia, and we get to connect with our Zambian side of things. And then we get to connect with everybody all over the world from different countries in Padbreak as well. We get to learn their cultures and their content and on what they're doing. Our guest today's name is Walusungu Mwazikani Phiri. He calls himself as the kid from Chilenje. Hello, our Chilenje family. He is currently in China studying, and he's an engineer, audio production, enthusiast, and Pan-Africanist. He also plays games, guys. All right. I wanted to bring him from behind the scenes. He's a producer of the podcast called Village ZM Podcast. So I wanted to get to know the man behind everything else that happens. Like, why not? All right. I have to acknowledge something before you listen to this episode. All of our episodes are pre-recorded months in advance. The COVID restrictions discussed in this episode have since been lifted. Welcome, my brother. Walu, what's up? How are you, my dear?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Super happy to be here. Super honored to be on your show.
I'm excited. I couldn't wait to have this conversation because I'm curious what's going on in China. But before we go to China, I just want, the kid from Chilenje. How was Chilenje for you in Zambia?
Chilenje was beautiful. It's actually one of the only homes that I can really remember, because I've been there for I think since I was 4. And I left Zambia when I was about 16, 17. So it's like really the only home that I know. It's a space that I really loved and really got accustomed to. It was super hard to leave, but I'm happy I did leave. I'm happy I was able to take that leap of faith and try something new and different.
Nice. How was it growing up? You had your parents. How was it? I mean, I lived in Kabwata before leaving to the US. So it was, I would walk from Kabwata to Chilenje and then back and forth. Yeah, it's a long walk, but in Zambia, we walk almost everywhere. If you're not taking the minibus or a taxi, you're mostly walking most of the times.
Yeah.
So we were neighbors.
Yes, we were neighbors. Same constituency, if they're being political. Honestly, it was amazing. I was fortunate enough to still have both of my parents together, married and alive. So it's amazing. I have 3 biological siblings, and I have got 2. I don't want to use the word adopted because it feels it's not the African word, but I don't know if we actually have like the Zambian word for it. But we do have 2 adopted siblings. Let's call them that. They're cousins. But they're so close to me that I feel like they're my siblings.
I think it's a common thing back home. I grew up with my cousins that became like my mom's children, really.
Yeah.
So it's very common and we get so close. It's like, I grew up with my cousins the whole time. Like, I don't remember a time when I didn't have cousins because my grandmother had 8 children. And some of my mom's siblings passed away. So as they were passing away, she would adopt their children and take care of them. It's just how it is back home. You take the responsibility.
Yeah, it is. It is one of the things that, honestly, you get to really love about being back home, about being Zambia. It's that whole sense of, community that we do have. It's sad, unfortunately, that with one of my cousins, the siblings, is that he also has like a similar situation where he did lose his mom at a very young age. He was living with my grandparents, and then my mom and dad decided to like take him on and keep him with us. And it's just beautiful, at least, that despite all the tragedy that happens, we do have that beautiful sense of community that really takes care of each other. Make sure that everybody is taken care of.
No, 100%. I love the sense of community that we have. Because without my cousins, I don't know. Like, they also bring something else. Because I know what you mean. Sisters. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. You're like, yes, these are my siblings, but with my cousins, I can't imagine my life being anything else. Like, how would it be without them? It's like, there's so many, they just, I don't even think the words I can really describe it.
There's a different relationship that you build with them compared to like my sisters. Like if they are brothers, we become like brother and sister. That's how I've had my cousins, like the way like my brothers. But with my sisters, it's also a different connection that we have. So I love it. So when did you leave Zambia?
I left Zambia in 2016, September 2016.
Nice.
I actually left to study civil engineering. I was lucky enough to have a cousin in China who was able to help me find a place over here.
Oh, wow. So you get to China, and where are you in China?
I'm in Hangzhou, China. I've actually been in Hangzhou since I arrived. I haven't left. I really can't see myself leaving. I've become so accustomed to the city that's not even mine. It feels, and you even see like the city grow and everything. You're like, I don't really see myself moving. It's hard to.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. What are the requirements to go to China? Like, what do you need?
Okay, right now it's a bit tricky because of China's COVID-0 policy that they do have. I'm not sure if you know of it, but China is trying to reach COVID-0, meaning no COVID cases in China. And they've been struggling with it. So because of it, actually, travel is a bit restricted for students right now. So number of students who left China are only just beginning to get in, and not even a lot of them, but just a few. And even for like a student like me, I can't, as far as I know anyway, I can't leave China and come back. So right now, from what I hear, you have to have been studying in China for you to come back to China because you're coming to complete your program. So that's what I'm hearing.
Got it. So for anybody who's thinking coming brand new to China, they are not allowing entry.
As of right now, no. But then we do hear that the policies are bound to change within the new year, with the new year. So we're hoping that once the new year comes, then most students will be able to get into China. The old process was like really super easy. All you had to do was just apply at the university you need to apply to, speak to them and everything. You do your registration. And once you get your acceptance, all you do is just simply go over to the Chinese embassy, submit your documents, and you get your visa, and then you're able to come over here. It was like really, I don't say super simple and easy, but it was rather easy. It wasn't like a pain in the...
Where's the embassy in Lusaka?
The embassy in Lusaka is... Oh my.
Sorry, I forget to. Don't worry.
I'd like to say Long Acres. I'd like to say Long Acres, but I'm not sure if it is Long Acres.
You could DM us. Let us know. So it's just for the sake of anybody who's looking. Yesterday, literally on Facebook, people were asking me about Canada. I'm in the US, people, but they asked me about Canada and the requirements. So I did research for them and I put it for them. And then I found out that they actually have an embassy in Lusaka. So I was like, oh, wow. I learned something too. So
I'm guessing it's in that embassy. I don't just say embassy square, but there's like this street or like region, like within Long Acres, where like there are a bunch of embassies. So it's around that area. Opposite, my Lord, I can't even remember. I can see the place in my mind, but the name of the place has like completely gone.
Walu.
Completely gone.
Listen, my memory. People ask me about the food. People ask me, I'm like, I don't remember those things. It's not even by fault because I don't eat it anymore here. They don't have it. I'm sure if I ask my Zambian people, someone is selling it, but I don't. Yeah. We lose touch a little bit.
we do lose touch. We do lose touch. And it's those conversations that I hate having, like with people back home. Worse with my mother, because she was always like, you're becoming less Zambian by the day. You keep on forgetting so many things. Eventually, you even start forgetting about us. That's what she was like.
Guys, it's not that way. It's just if you're not practicing, even our language, if we're not practicing constantly, we forget some words. We might know the words in our heads, but for it to come out, it's not the same anymore. So forgive us.
It's not the same. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's a struggle, but I do try. I do try sometimes, at least with the language here and there. Occasionally with mom, though we usually just end at like the greeting.
Oh, wow. How long is the visa like for students? If they give a visa, how long is the visa for?
Students, you have to renew every year. That's the usual requirement for most students. You have to renew your visa every year. They don't give a visa longer than a year, to my knowledge. So it's a simple process, really. Yeah. For students, all you just have to do practically is even go there the day before your visa expires, hand in your documents. As long as you got everything in order, most likely they would ask for like a copy of your of a paper from your school just to prove that you're still a student. They need registration paper as well from your police station or from your dormitory, as well as your medical records, just to prove that you're fit and everything. And then you submit and you're done. Got
it. Quick question for you. So when you are there, like, how do you renew? Do you renew with your school or you have to go to the embassy?
Actually, there's an immigration bureau that I have to go to.
In your school or just separate?
Separate. It's separate. So the school just gives me a document that I have to take over to, first of all, the police, just to confirm my registration. No, it's just for accommodation because they try to choose my words. China has certain laws to do with like where people are staying and everything. Not like it's a real thing because like if you're staying at someone's place for over 24 hours, you're supposed to go to the nearest police station and register yourself and be like, oh hey, I'm just visiting. I'm just at my friend's house. I'm just staying here. This is me. That's it. That's technically what the law is. If you're staying, yeah. I could see it. Yeah, it's what the law is. You don't just go and attend a Tandala. No. When you go to Tandala, you go by the police station and say, "Oh, I'm visiting my friend as well. I'll be staying here for over 24 hours." And this is me. Then they, get your information, the place where your friend is staying. Do a few procedural things, and you're good technically.
I'm dying. I'm dying. What? No.
Yes. Technically, according to the law.
That's the job. That's the job. You go to visit 24 hours. You gotta go to the police and let them know I'm visiting Walu. And do they give you a time frame that you can visit Walu for this time?
No, not really. Okay, it's just more or less like confirming your residence, confirming that you're not living in where you register that you're staying, and you're just staying somewhere else momentarily, more or less.
Do residents have to do that too?
No, I believe it's for foreigners. That those laws should apply for foreigners only.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about the freedom that we have. Like I appreciate my freedom that I have here in America, but Jesus, wow.
Yeah, it's it's something.
Wow. Okay.
It's a bit funny. Yeah, even a hotel.
Listen, I'm learning as I'm sitting here, and that's very interesting. It's very interesting.
It is. But it's not even like a big thing. It's just something that takes like 5-10 minutes, and then you're able to like get it out of the way and go wherever you're going, do whatever you're doing.
I just love how you just okay. It's interesting. Because for our audience that's in America, I think it's going to be puzzling for me to go to my if I go visit my neighbor for this is a holiday season. So some people have sleepovers, you go celebrate, and I have to go report myself and say, I'm staying at my best friend's house for the holidays.
Yeah, I'll be here for the holidays. I'll be here maybe for so long. They don't really care, but just have to like go through the process.
Interesting. So how has been your journey starting there? How is engineering? You loving it? You hating it? You in the middle?
It's been a journey, actually. I actually finished up with my program. I wasn't super clear with it when I was giving you the info. I actually did finish with my program. I did it from 2016 to 2021. I was doing engineering at a different university. Yeah, it was tough. Weirdly, the toughest part of it was Chinese language, because language and I don't get along. But other than the language hiccup here and there, it's been an amazing journey. It's been like super fun, super interesting. Learned a lot, but also learned that engineering wasn't really my passion. It took me finishing in 2021 and thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't really see myself wanting to be an engineer. I can do it, of course. I can go on the site, I can be that person, I can be in the office, do the drawings and everything. But it's not something that I'm super passionate about, at least not anymore.
Wow.
So it's been a journey.
How life is. Like you go to school for all of these things, and then just to come out and say, it's really not for me. Exactly. What made you pick that major?
Engineering. Engineering is something that ended up happening because I couldn't do architecture, or is it because architecture was difficult for me to do in China? I've always been one who's been interested in design. For as long as I could remember, I'm one who's always been interested in megastructures, more or less. I'm one who's always been interested in the beauty of buildings, the beauty of design, and the effect that can have on the place, the community, and just in general the people around them. So I'm one person who, for the longest time, did want to do architecture, or at least wanted to build or design something that is going to leave a mark on our country, something that is going to help, improve, the landscape of our country. So I remember picking it out quite a while back. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I'm sure I was in primary school. And it was just one of those random things that mom was just asking us. So what are you going to be? What you're going to do when you grow up? And I was like, I don't really know. But I told her like what I wanted to do and what my thoughts were. And she was like, well, you sound like you're going to be an architect. And I'm like, what is an architect? You know, because like I was just in primary school, my vocab was very, well, not really limited, but I didn't know some technical bits and everything. And she was like, you know what, this is why we got you that computer. Go check on the computer what an architect is. And I go over there, look at it, and I'm like, this feels like me. So that was what my passion was for like the longest time. I was trying to always do everything I could that would help me with architecture. But then, unfortunately, when I had to leave Zambia and study in China, architecture was not an option that I had, because architecture was done in, well, it was an option, but it was going to be a more difficult option. I was going to have to do it in Chinese language. I was going to have to learn it completely in Chinese. Yeah, and I wasn't really feeling like that challenge. So it took me a few weeks of like deliberating, discussing, because the other option that was there was civil engineering. It's not exactly architecture, but it does take you within the same realm. It deals within the same space. So it's an option that we were contemplating, or I was contemplating for a while, until eventually I was like, let me give it a try, and hopefully one day go to jump into architecture.
So why China? But you could have gone anywhere to become an architect, and without being required to learn the local language, let's say Mandarin, Cantonese. Why not go somewhere else?
I guess at the time when we looked at the options that were available, it was the best option. Well, China was one of the better options for me. You know, it's super funny every time I think about it, because for the longest time, my dad was always one person who was like, I'm not a rich man. That's my dad. He's like, yes, you go to a good school. You're around people in a school with people who got like more money, more whatnot. And you hear about their kids going abroad, going to China, going to Canada, going to Malaysia. And he told me straight up, you are not going there. You're going to CBU, you're going to UNZA. That's where you're going. That's where like I was prepared to go. Until my results came out, now the pressure started of having to look for a place. And he was looking at CBU and UNZA. And I believe at that time, because of, UNZA and CBU's closures and their, I don't want to be mean and say mismanagement, he felt that they may not be the best place for me. So that's how he started looking at other places abroad. And then he found out that, well, he knew anyway, he got in contact with one of my cousins who was in China at the time. He was studying civil engineering as well. So he spoke with him, and then he felt like China was a better option. So he told me to speak to my cousin and figure out what courses I could do in China at that university where my cousin was at.
No, I asked those questions because a lot of the times as children, we get to do things that are for our parents. And the same way that you feel about engineering, that you don't feel the same about it anymore. You have a different passion. So there's so many people that I've met here, and a lot of the time they go to school and they don't really like what they end up getting, the degree they end up getting, and they end up venturing to do something else. It happened to me. I was doing nursing because that was the popular thing that everybody else was doing, and it was going to bring me more money. I can do overtime. I work 3 days a week. Who doesn't want that dream? Yeah. And like it's 3 days a week. And the rest of the time,
I would love that.
Yeah. But then when I was doing it, and then I even did like assistant nursing, I felt in my gut and everything in me, I love dressing up. I love wearing suits. I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. And that's, at the time, I was just a teller. I was like, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing right now. And I just dropped out. I'm like, I'm good. And it was so competitive. No, thank you. No, it took so many tries, because you take the test. So I took the test. I test, I think, like 3 times. And for me, it was just like a sign. It's like, it's okay. You don't have to go through that route. Because the 3rd time when I passed it with higher marks, they put me on a waiting list, and then you are competing with the next class. Whoever gets the highest scores, they go to the class. And I was like, no, I don't have the energy for this. This is going to take too long. And it was just not working out with my work schedule too. So I was like, it's all good. I'll do something else that I love the most. And I stayed in banking and I enjoy it. It's been great.
Again, sorry, but congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's all good. So how has it been living there? Do you have any Zambians around? Do you have any Africans around or other people that you congregate with?
Life in China has been, it's been interesting. You know, if you look at it, I think I would like put it like into three different categories. Sorry. There's like pre-COVID, then you've got life during lockdown, then you've got life after lockdown. I think like that's the best way I could like categorize it. When you look at pre-COVID, it was an interesting space, to be honest. You'd have like so many of these different luxuries that you'd have, and you'd have like more. It was more convenient, you know. There were less rules and everything. You know, you would literally just walk into any place, you know, do whatever you wanted to do. You just get into a campus, and don't worry, it'll make more sense later. You just walk into like any school campus, you know, meet up with your friends, hang out, you know, just chill. Usually just go over to a friend's compound. You just go over to like a soccer pitch. You just have fun. And it was super amazing because at my university where I was at, we had quite a number of international students, quite a number. And at least 1/3 were Zambians. So there were literally like so many Zambians around. So it was a really interesting space, had so many different friends from so many different parts of Zambia. And as well, we had so many different people from so many different, you know, regions. We had so many people from Africa, so many people from Europe, some people from the Americas. So it was super, and Asia too. So it was super interesting. It was super fun. I guess things sort of started to change after COVID and the lockdowns, because you had so many people who were like super afraid of it. And a number of people, unfortunately, did leave. It was like a bit of a difficult, you know, transition, you know, having, you know, all your friends around, having to like have that space and freedom, and then getting into not really having that much space and freedom because we were like sort of locked down I was in the dormitory. So I was like locked down in the dormitory. We couldn't really leave the dormitory space and everything. If you wanted like food, groceries and whatnot, you just like order it on like an Excel sheet. You give it to like one of the student advisors. Yes. You just like put what you wanted in like kgs and whatnot. Just be like, oh, I want 1 kg of chicken. I want like 1 kg or 500 grams of cabbage and this and that. Then you send it over to like the student advisors and everything. And then they would like procure everything and bring it over by the dormitory building. And you just pick it up, pay for it, go to your room. So it was like a very different space. It was challenging. Everybody had like a whole different challenge with lockdown.
Being an immigrant can be hard. Having been away from my home country for over 20 years has allowed me to experience these hardships firsthand. Throughout my journey, I've had a lot of challenges that were hard to bear. Juggling adjustment to a new country, obtaining my immigration papers, getting married, having children, establishing my career, and finding time for myself. Even though I've always had faith, I also relied on therapy, which gave me the tools to cope with the issues life brought me. My fellow dreamers, let's remove the stigma around therapy and normalize seeking help with today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists who are trained to listen and help you. Go to betterhelp.com/concretepastures for 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will listen and help in as little as 48 hours.
Post-lockdown, it's been challenging in a whole different way because now China has got this whole code system. So there's like so many different, I don't even know how to put it properly, but it's just, it's challenging because, as I said, like you can't even like just go to any university anymore. You can't just go and like visit your friend anyhow. You'd have to like go there, scan a code, show them that, oh yes, you do have a green code. Sometimes even if you do have your green code, you need to have your COVID test done. And I guess because of like all these new different rules and regulations that have been going on, a number of people have been leaving. So it's not the same space that, we used to know. We look at it sometimes and we laugh about how different, China was, from what we found and what we're like living in now. But we do find, time to like meet up. We do find time to like laugh with a few friends and everything. You still do have a couple Zambians here and there. Fortunately for me, I actually even just met one a couple of days ago at the immigration. Right. Yeah, it was like super fun and like super random. I was at the immigration doing one thing, and I saw this man coming in with who I assumed was his wife and his kid. So he went over to like one of the tellers. He was trying to photocopy something, and I just saw his green passport, Zambian, and I was like, yes. And once he was done, I even just like stopped him like, hey, excuse me, I just saw your passport and I want to just say congratulations about the baby and everything. And, we got to talking, we exchanged contacts, hoping to meet up with him, soon, because he also mentioned that he's been having a hard time, meeting Zambians as well since COVID. So it's good that we're still noticing each other. And at least once we do see each other, we still try to reach out a little bit here and there.
Wow, that's very interesting. In terms of the COVID restrictions and stuff, like how often do you guys have to test for COVID?
Yeah, I did say quite a bit. And yeah, that was also in there. So China's current policy, I was recording this is December. So actually, saying China's current policy would be wrong because every province has got its own policy. So my province's policy currently is that for you to use public resources anyway, you have to have a 3-day COVID test. It should be like 72 hours. Yes, within a 72-hour window. If it's outside that 72-hour window, like you can't enter like a public space, you can't use public transportation. Like, I kid you not, like it's a whole thing. Though certain cities technically still do have the same thing, but then certain places won't let you inside unless you have a COVID test that's valid for 24 hours. Technically, it's 72, but places will like, nope, it needs to be like 24 hours. It's a struggle here and there, but I guess it's just one of those things.
I'm just thinking of everybody listening to this. Guys, the freedom that we have. Oh my God.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, please. Oh my goodness. I mean, I feel bad. I feel bad for it. I mean, I get it and I don't get it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like it's
I know exactly what you mean.
24 hours to get in the building. 3 days prior to getting. Come on, people.
Yes. Well, I guess, the good thing. Sorry, excuse me.
Are the numbers
there are so many.
Are the numbers still high? Are the numbers low for COVID? Because if they still...
they were low until about a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, there were a few cases in Guangzhou. So some districts in Guangzhou, which is like one of the more commercial parts of China, was like in lockdown. So some counties, some regions, some districts were like on lockdown here and there. So actually even getting like packages or parcels there was like a nightmare. That was like at least 2 or 3 weeks ago. I hear it's good now. But then like this week and last week, I hear Shanghai is a bit bad together with my city, Hangzhou. A couple of districts are like not so good. It's one of those things.
I get it. Maybe I guess it's still on the high side in different provinces in China. Probably that's why they have a strict policy when it comes to this. Hopefully it gets better for you guys. Because, I mean, we need connection as human beings. And when we lose that, especially as immigrants, it's lonely. It really gets lonely if you don't have that connection with other people, with your friends. And just to see people, getting outside to see people. That's what I missed the most when we were on lockdown. I mean, I was home. I did everything online. But going out to have that connection, because New York was a ghost town. Everybody was indoors.
Oh.
We were ordering online. If you go to a restaurant, the restaurants were closed. You'd order for pickup. Yeah. That's all they were doing. And they would open certain hours. They would not stay open the whole time. So they would open for certain hours. Probably by like 4 o'clock, they're closed. Because here it's a city that never sleeps. So it was unheard of. It's a city that never sleeps. You can go to a restaurant at 10 o'clock, at 9 o'clock at night, and they'll still serve you food. So it was very interesting. But we're back to normal.
Luckily you are. Well, we're there sometimes when things are good, when everything is like okay, we're like normal. Well, the new normal anyway. And then when things get a bit hectic, we do have a few shutdowns and whatnot. But yeah, we are hoping that at least sooner or later things will get closer to the old normal, at least.
So if someone is coming to visit China, there's more restrictions to that, or are they even allowing?
Honestly, as far as I know, I don't believe China was giving tourist visas. I'm honestly not even sure. I haven't been looked up on it. Oh, wow. But I don't believe they're giving tourist visas.
I'm going to look into it and see. Wow.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it as well. It's a bit funky. It's a bit weird. But I guess we all keep on hoping that sooner or later, like, everybody's just gonna calm down with the whole thing, get used to it, and be like, okay, this is a new normal, and things would just at least get back to the old normal. You know, things would just slow down a bit more.
I think that's what other countries have done. Like, they've just accepted that this is our new normal. And in a lot of cases, like, I had COVID like almost 3 weeks ago. I had COVID. So it's
sorry.
Testing, and it wasn't as bad as the first time. This was the second time for me getting it. And I didn't even know. I thought it was allergies. That was the part. But I was telling everybody, I was like, oh, I have allergies after 20 years of being in the US. Now the allergies are catching up. And then, for some weird reason, because my son was coughing, and for some reason, I was like, okay, let me get tested. So we test. Oh, God. We have home tests. My daughter, she goes to primary school here. So they give them tests every single day. So you could home tests. So you could test from home. If anything, if you feel sick. So they encourage us to test if you're not feeling well, if you're coughing or whatever. And this is the season where people are having like flus, coughs and stuff. And they encourage you to test yourself. So I have lots of home tests from work and my daughter. Every day we get one. Every day.
Oh. Wow.
Every day. But it's not like reinforced. Like, we can go to buildings, we can go to public places.
Yeah.
With, just people are taking precautions. They wear a mask if they're not feeling well and stuff like that. So if you're not feeling well, they encourage you to wear a mask around people.
I would really like that. For us, the masking is not exactly conditional. It's more of a requirement in like public spaces and stuff. It's
every day. So when you leave the house, you have to wear a mask.
I guess, well, in campus at least they're like a bit easy with it. They don't really like force you to like have it. But then weirdly enough, like in the other dormitory building where we usually go get some food or do a couple of stuff, every time as you're like going inside, they're like, you have to have your mask on. When you're entering a bus, metro station, they're like, you have to have your mask on. They're actually not even permitted inside without your mask. Same with malls and a couple other places.
I see. Wow. Guys, if you're planning to go to China, once they start to give visas, just be prepared. Wow. Yeah. That's interesting.
Just be prepared. But it's still, like a lovely place, to be honest, despite...
Yeah. No, because I think all of us are under the impression, because a lot of the countries where we are in, they have, just accepted the new normal. And we think that's everywhere else. So I'm glad that you shed some light on what's actually happening. Because I'm surprised that you guys are still under restrictions. They're really hard restrictions.
No, I understand what you mean. Because like a couple of weeks ago, a number of people were surprised when they're watching the World Cup, and they're like, wait, what are so many people doing in a stadium without their masks on? And people are like going crazy, like, what? This is not real. They shouldn't be doing that. Like it was like a whole thing apparently on like Chinese social medias and stuff, where everyone was like super surprised at what's going on. It was even ridiculous because, never mind. But yeah, it was just like super funny just to see some of the comments and stuff that was going on.
Wow, that's the impression, because I think all of us, it's not only me, all of us are under the impression that, everywhere it's now back to normal and you could go in any building or any place. But it's great that you shed some light on that for us. Wow. Have you been back home since you've been in China?
Yes, I actually have been fortunate to go back home twice. When I left the first time, I got a return ticket, had a 1-year return. So I came to China in 2016. I went home in 2017, caught up with family, caught up with everybody. It was super fun. Had really the most amazing time, getting to see everybody, because I've been in boarding school from grade 10 to 12, but then boarding school is different. Boarding school is different because mom and dad are always a phone call away, so to speak. I guess with the way my boarding school was, it was a thing of where occasionally once in a while, mom and dad would pass by and they'd be I was going over to Livingston. I was at Luengu in Monze.
Got you.
Yeah. Yeah, so whenever they're traveling down that route, they'd always pass by. They'll be hey, wanted to check up on you, wanted to see how you're doing. And, there was that whole thing. But now here it's there's nobody passing by to see you or anything like that. You're always having to, make those video calls, and then the time difference and everything just makes everything super hard and inconvenient. So getting to go back home in 2017 was super amazing, super wonderful. I was hoping that I'd be able to get a return ticket when I was leaving 2017. But then Dad was no, you're getting a one-way. We'll get you your return when you're going to come home to visit and then return back to China. So, yeah, I left in 2017 to resume my program. And I was fortunate enough to go back in 2019 because I had to go do my internship, which I did back home in Zambia. So I was able to go back as well in 2019, which was also super amazing. Yeah, I was able to get that on the job, on the side experience as a civil engineer, and also able to chill with family more because, it's just been a long time. So, getting to see everybody, getting to do all the crazy stuff you used to do, with friends, with family. It was just super nice to get to do that again. And that was the last time that I was home, 2019.
How do you deal with being homesick? Because you guys are under restrictions. How do you deal with being homesick?
Usually it's by making those calls to friends, to family, just getting to speak with them because it's real. Sometimes you just feel like in a funk, you don't really know what's up, and you just find yourself replaying or thinking about all those crazy things that you could be doing, all those crazy things that you did do. It's funny how even up to now, some of the little things just getting on my mom's nerves is something that I still miss. And then I'm just you know what? I don't care what time it is. I'm calling your mom and just trying to see if I can catch 5 minutes, 10 minutes with her. And when I'm fortunate enough, we do talk for at least an hour, 2 hours, and just to catch up, see how everybody is doing, see what's up, just get to talk and everything. But on days when I'm not so lucky, I guess it's just distractions. But most of the times I'm lucky enough to go to at least call some friends. I guess I'm lucky that we're in this age, where you've got WhatsApp, you've got Facebook, you've got email, you've got Instagram, Facebook, what else is it? Twitter. So you're able to easily catch up with the people who you want to catch up with. It's just a matter of sending a text and just being hey, you're available, or what time are you available? So at least that's how I've been dealing with homesickness, just making those calls.
So what are you doing now in China?
Right now, I'm working on improving my Chinese language. Or at least I'm trying to improve my Chinese language. I've been doing a language program, which not only is for the language as well, but it also allowed me to have a buffer and try to figure out what it is that I want to do next, which direction do I go in, and what's the next step for my life. I guess I felt it would be easier for me to do that here, at least in China for now. It felt like a much better option than going back home and trying to figure it out from there. I thought I may have more opportunity, or at least I can have a bit of an advantage, trying to figure that out from here. At least it also allowed me to if I want to go to a different country and whatnot, I thought it'd be easier doing it all from here than doing it from back home. So I'm just doing my language and trying to figure out what it is that inspires me, what it is that I'm passionate about.
Part of your bio was you're learning to unlearn. Do you mind sharing with us what you are unlearning? A lot of us, it's hard to unlearn certain habits. So what are you unlearning, sir?
It It is hard to unlearn. Oh my Lord, it's unlearning is a tough process. I guess when you grow up in a community like ours, which is super tight knit, which is a godsend. I always love our community for how tight it is. But then there's this whole community pressure that tends to come up, from such a very tight community, because there are like so many different expectations from you, from what can I say, from the people around you. People have so many different expectations of you, so many different ideas of what you could be and who you could become. And then they don't only tend to put that pressure on you, so they also tend to put it on your parents. And, that also tends to like trickle down, again, coming to you, where you feel like you're being like hit from all sides. So, because of that community that we live in, there are so many different ideals, expectations, and norms that we do have as a community. And one of the things that I've been trying to learn to unlearn is some of the norms that we do have, from those communities, trying to figure out why it is that we do, or is it why I do what I do? And if it's something that I do because it's something that I want to do, or is it something I do because of this community pressure that's like all around me? So that's like one of the things that I've been coming to like unlearn. I guess that's where most of the things I come to unlearn come from, trying to figure out if everything that I do truly is in the best benefit of myself and my community, or if it's just pressure from around. Because, there's so many things that you tend to like believe are like the right thing to do, or like the best thing to do, until you go out there and then you see how the rest of the world lives, or how other people are doing it. And you're like, you're not trying to like, switch your mind and like do what other people are doing, but you're just thinking that maybe what we're doing is not exactly correct. I'm not saying these other people are correct, but maybe what we're doing could also be done maybe better. So it's trying to like unlearn, some of the things that we do have, some of the tendencies that we do have, and trying to see if we can, or if I can create a much better reality or community for myself. I feel like I spoke quite a lot and I said quite a lot and said nothing at the same time. I don't know if that like adds up.
No, it makes sense, because a lot of us just do things. That's like what I was saying about your engineering. I was asking those questions because a lot of us do what our parents want us to do instead of what we feel passionate about, what we want to do. Like my daughter right now, she tells me almost every day she wants to be an actress. She wants to be a singer. She wants all of these things. She has a number of things that she wants to do. And the fact that she says it every single day, I was like, okay, I guess this is something that she's passionate about. I have my own ideas. So I'm trying. I'm staying away from my own ideas. That's what I'm. You have to respect your children. You have to respect your children, and their voices they should be able to feel like they matter, like their voice matters. If they say something, I'm supporting her in whatever she's telling me she wants to do. I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do to get you to be
that person?
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, that's amazing. It's always amazing to hear that.
Yeah, no, our parents always have different ideas, and the way we are brought up, especially back home, it's very like, you do as I say, and that's it. That's how the parents put it to us. At least that's how we are receiving. They might probably not mean it that way, but a lot of us children receive it that way. It's like, it's either my way or the highway. Yeah. That's how it goes. Yeah, listen, when you go to other countries, it opens you up to certain things. You get exposed to a lot of things, and you get to start unlearning if you're willing to unlearn, because sometimes we get stuck in our own ways, our old ways. And even if you're exposed to so much, it takes maturity to admit to that I'm unlearning. I want to unlearn certain things. I want to make sure that I'm doing something that's right by me and not for other people. So that's important. That's really great.
Yeah, it is. It's just scary, because as I said, there's that whole community pressure. So you feel like every time you're unlearning or questioning, you feel like everybody is going to be on your case. Like, oh my God, why is he doing this? And you know how we say it in our community, even if I was Zungu, there's just the whole, you see, there's just that whole thing about it. Exactly. So why, even if you're trying to do something for yourself, they're like, no, you're just doing it so that you can try and be like that. And you're like, it's nothing to do with trying to be like that. It's trying to be me, who I am. So Unlearning is
we are growing. As you grow, you also have to change. But it's just the people around us, they want you to be the same person. And I think as a community, we have to stop putting people in a box and support people as they grow on their journey. Because, I don't know, why would you want to be the same person every year, every day? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. There's so many things that I've heard about like people on boxes and like perceptions. And I feel like it's a scary thing because it's something that, we have done to ourselves for a very long time. We try to put other people in a box because we put ourselves in a box to begin with.
Exactly.
We try to box ourselves up and define ourselves as this one thing. But forgetting that that's not exactly what life is. Life is all about growth. Life is about change. Just because a couple of years ago you believed one thing doesn't mean that you have to believe the same thing for the rest of your life. With the more information that you have, the more your perception changes. But I guess we get so scared of it sometimes as individuals and as a community that we tend to like really shut it out. And I'm hoping that, slowly we get to realize that change is a good thing. Yeah?
No, I hope our community does that. Like, honestly, like change is a good thing, especially on personal development. I think it's the best gift you can ever give yourself.
Yeah.
At work, my job is constantly changing. The rules, the regulations, the procedures, everything is constantly changing. Like, why wouldn't I want to change myself? I transform myself differently every year, every month or something. And people accept, like at work, it's okay, but on yourself, it's not okay. Just because there's a paycheck connected to it. Like, why not yourself? There's a paycheck connected to my job. But
because you're worth more than the paycheck.
I'm worth more than the paycheck. And we forget that. So, my dear, you are a producer on a podcast called The Village ZM. How did that come about? Yes. How did you guys get to become The Village? It's an amazing podcast, guys.
Thank you. The Village is truly been something that I'm happy to be a part of. It's really been an amazing road for us. We're like going to 2 years now, or over a year, a little bit over a year. Yeah, we started off in 2021 during the last Zambian elections, because during that time we were all not in the same space. Was it that the founders were not in the same space? I was here in China. Another founder was over in Denmark. Another founder was in the USA. Another founder was in Canada. And we felt like there was so much that was riding on these elections. So much change that needed to be done, because of like the state of our country. And we wanted to be the voice, because we realized that we couldn't be the voice that cast the vote, but we thought we could be the voice that can help change people's perspectives, or at the very least help people see the bigger picture, which was what like our goal was. Not to tell them that, oh, vote for that person, vote for that, but just to help people understand or see the landscape so that they can make a more informed decision for themselves. And we kept on having that conversation, me with one of the founders in Denmark, and one of the founders in Denmark with a guy in Canada. So we just kept on like having discussions of what we could do and what not, until eventually the guy in Denmark decided to like bring us all together and be like, okay, you know what, let's do this. And that's how we came up with doing the podcast. So the initial vision and the initial goal of the podcast was focused on primarily the election. Seeing what we could do to just open up people's mind, let people understand the players in the game, and just to see if we can, make better decisions about, our country. Because at the end of the day, I may be in China, but Zambia is my home. Zambia is where my roots are. Zambia is where my community really is. Yes, I do have community here, but my real community, my real people, I know how that sounds, but yeah, they're in Zambia. So I wanted to do my part to make sure that Zambia is in the best state it can be, so I can be more inclined to go back home.
Oh, listen,
that's just putting it mildly.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we want to build a country that you want to be proud of, your children to be proud of.
Yeah.
You guys did a phenomenal job, giving people insight on who was running, and it was incredible. It's incredible, and I'm glad you guys made a difference. And that's the power of what we do. And you can give people information, and I hope you're happy with who is in office.
I'd like to say yes.
Give people time. Give people time to adjust.
No. Okay. Yes. I agree with you. We should expect change. You should expect that things should be different. But I guess I expected things to be different in a different way. But now I'm seeing more of the same old. And I'm wondering, when are we going to break out of the cycle? When are we going to keep on repeating the same things and expecting different results?
It's only been a year, no?
A year is telling. I know how hypocritical I sound. Or maybe at least how hypocritical I hear myself in my head. Because I know a year, or at least the beginning, doesn't define the end. But the beginning does set a tone. It does sort of give you a projection of where things are going. And the projection of where things are going seem to be going the way things have always been going. And we're that's not what we wanted. We wanted... Or I guess maybe it's my fault, because I'm expecting so much from Zambia because of my bias to it. I'm hoping that Zambia would make this miraculous change in 2 years, and it would be more it would make it better for me to go back home, and everything, and settle back.
Have
in
you
Zambia.
had a conversation? Have you had a conversation with people on the ground? Because I hear differently for people on the ground, including my siblings, because I didn't vote. So I have no say. Whenever I vote now, I vote for here in America. Hopefully the next time around I can vote in Zambia also. But have you had conversations with people on the ground? How do they feel? Because for us here in the diaspora, we have a biasness because of where we are. Things move faster where we are because of the infrastructure, the economy that we have. But back home, it's starting from zero. So the people that you guys were encouraging for people to elect, he's starting from zero. He's correcting, I'm assuming, he's correcting what was done wrong or incorrect or whatever opportunities that he has found in his role. He's working on those. And if those opportunities, it's 100 opportunities, he's probably at number 50. So you guys have to give him some type of grace and find out from the people on the ground. How do you feel about your new president? It's been this many days. Is there any change in your role in terms of, employment? Because we have unemployment in Zambia. Are there any job opportunities that are coming around that you qualify for, that you may want? So I think we have a high expectation. I'm that way. I already told everybody, whenever they ask me, are you going to retire in Zambia? I'm I'm not retiring in Zambia. Unfortunately, I'll go to Zambia to visit. Where I retire? Cape Town. That's my home is where you are. And
it is.
This is for now. Maybe 10 years from now or whatever, I'll change my mind. I don't know. But for now, as it is, I'll contribute.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'll contribute to the Zambian government, Zambian economy. I contribute through people. That's how I'm contributing.
This is the betterment of the community. No, I get it. I understand it.
Yeah. So I think maybe we should give him grace. I mean, he was here, but I couldn't go because it was disorganized, very disorganized, how they were trying to organize it. And I couldn't get a ticket in time. So I was just like, okay. But I wanted to meet him. Ask him at least one or two questions on the diaspora, for the diaspora community. Because we're expecting
You should have.
Quick. No, I was going to.
Yes.
I was committed to go.
I wish you did. It would have been like super amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm planning to bring one of our ambassadors because they are in communication with him directly. So I can ask him the same questions. Yeah. I can ask them the questions and they can give us some answers of what is happening in Zambia and especially like what they are doing when they go to these countries. What exactly are they doing for us in the diaspora?
Yeah.
Because it's not only passports, for us to get passports. What else?
True. And I guess, it's, on a side note, it's been something, that's like been on my mind, I guess, the past couple of years, past couple of weeks or months at least, is, when you look at how many people have like left Zambia and how many people are like less inclined to like go back to Zambia. And, I see myself, going down that same path. Where I feel like I'm more inclined to not go back. And I'm like, I do want to go back, but I just wish things could just happen. So I feel like that's where my bias comes from. I feel like that's why I feel like nothing is happening. It's because like, I just want things to be better just so that like, it's easier for me to go back, for me to actually stay in Zambia. Because I guess maybe it's also people who I'm speaking with, but they are having a hard time. Everybody's like saying this and that. But I guess I am really hoping that things get better. I miss home. I want to go back to those Chilenje streets,
Listen, I get it. We want our country to almost reflect like where we are, but it will take time. Yeah. These countries have been developed for many, many years, longer than our country. Yeah. So taking some time. I'll try to bring in guests that might answer those questions. I'd love to get the president himself. Anybody who knows him closely,
please.
I would love to ask him a number of questions just so we all on the same page to understand what his agenda is at this point in time. Because when you're campaigning, it's different. And then when you are in the office, it's different. It's leadership. It's different because you are changing things as you go. If, for instance, there was COVID, so leadership had to change and address the priority, which was COVID. And then now, there's less COVID cases. We still have COVID cases, but less COVID cases. It's not a pandemic as it was before. So now, like, what's the agenda? Where are we going from now? Like, can people come back home?
Yes, feel at home. Yes. But I know I'm just hoping that I'm sure it'll be resolved shortly. I really.
But you're not the only one that feels that way. That you're not the only one that feels that way. For me, I made up my mind that way even before anything, politics or whatever. It just I had a connection years ago when I went to South Africa, and I loved it. And I was just like, if I don't come to America, this will be my my second option. So to retire, it's not only now. I made up my mind years ago, many years ago. Like I have my kids, and I don't mind settling in South Africa and living there for the rest of my time here on Earth. I don't mind. Once I retire.
I get you. I'm hoping, this is just me hoping here, that when you go to visit Zambia, you have that connection with Zambia. You have that spark, and then you decide that, what, maybe South Africa will just be the place, or Cape Town would just be the place I visit, and Zambia will be my retirement home. Just a dream.
You never know. You never know. My family is there. The thing is, my family understands me. So when I explained this to my young sister, because she was in London for 5 years, and then when I told her, I was explaining to her, because they kept asking me, buy a home in Zambia. I'm like, it's not my dream. That's not my dream. You know, the sense of community that we have. It's like, because everybody else is doing it. Oh, you should buy a house in Zambia. No, I don't want to. I would like to buy a house here in America. That's my dream. So when it comes to settling down, my retirement plan, for now, it's Cape Town. But I'm going to visit Zambia for a very long time. I do have a connection back home. I do. That's my home. It's who I am. My roots are there, and what I want to do is to give back. I want to give back to my country in a way that I'm there and I'm able to help others. Living there, maybe I'll do 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, I'll do 3 months.
I understand.
Yeah, I'll do 3 months, and then winter time I go, and then summertime I come back. That would be the goal. That would be the goal. It's not bad. It's not bad.
No, it's not bad. Summers in Zambia are beautiful. So I'm like, I totally see that. I totally see that.
Honestly, from August to December, those will be my months to go. Those will be my months. I don't mind the hot heat. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it. What motivates you? Yeah. What gets you up?
What gets me up every morning are my Chinese classes. But I guess what really motivates me and like really, really, gives me that drive or gives me that focus currently is to do with the podcast. The podcast is one of my main motivations, one of my main sources of inspiration. I'm always sort of challenging, or is it we are always challenging ourselves to see what more we can do, to see what more, we can do for my country. So I feel like that's sort of my main motivation right now, figuring what we can do as a podcasting community to grow our reach, to reach out to more people, to, extend, I'm practicing the same thing in different ways. Yeah, to grow our reach and, have an impact on people's lives that we want to have on them, one that allows to encourages growth, one that allows people to see the bigger picture, one that allows people to learn to unlearn and, which will create growth, for our country. So that's one of my biggest motivations right now, working on the podcast and, getting those long-term visions accomplished.
Nice. Have you found your concrete pastures?
I'm not sure yet. Honestly, I'd like to say I'm still in a space where I don't know. There's a lot that I tend not to know than that I do know. So I'm not yet sure. But I'm hoping that I have. But I'm still not so confident. I'm not there yet. At least I can't say I am there yet.
And that's okay. And that's
it is okay.
Listen, we are all on a journey of life, and life is constantly happening. And with that, you find out what makes it concrete and what's not concrete. And if you're still on the journey of finding your purpose, you are unlearning things. So, you, my dear, I'm so grateful for you being here. This has been wonderful. I wanted to connect with you. I wanted to get a little bit of what it's like to be in China, and so many people that are looking to go to China would take something from this conversation. And what's happening now, because a lot of people, I guess, know China as before COVID, and then now after COVID, there was a lot to learn in that space. That was a lot to learn.
It was a lot to learn.
Yeah, there is a lot to learn. And
I know I've been like super hard and like said a lot of like weird stuff about it. But to be honest, it's an amazing space. I have met so many different people, here. So many different people from like around the world, right now, like today, actually, I'm a little sad. One of my roommates just left. He's a guy from Kazakhstan. And like we had very little interactions, like because he speaks Chinese and Russian, and I speak English and a bit of Chinese. And he doesn't speak English. So like we had like that difficulty like interacting. But then despite all that, him leaving today was like, you know, I feel it like I'm missing something. So there are like so many different people that I've met. Yeah, so many different connections that I've like made, so many new and amazing experiences that I've made. And yes, it is hard. It is tough, like being here in China. There's so many different things that keep on popping up every day. But there's so many beautiful things as well on the other side of it all. It's not all bad. It may be challenging, but it is an amazing experience. It is something that I'm super grateful for. And it's something that I'm still looking forward to keep on doing. Like, despite everything I've just mentioned and a whole lot more that's going on behind the scenes, I'm still looking forward to it because it does have its plus sides. It does have its beauty. I am enjoying it.
Oh, that's good. I am so happy I was able to bring you out from behind the scenes to share with us where you are and just share a little bit of your story with us. I'm so grateful for that. So thank you for sharing and thank you for pouring into our community. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly happy to be here. I was really scared. Well, yeah. I was really scared. This is why I stopped hosting even on my own platform. I'm one person who enjoys the background. So thank you so much for pulling me out of my shell. It's super amazing. Thank you so much for letting me experience the life of a guest. I'm changing the way I treat my guests, completely changing it. We've said it before. I'm saying it again because it's real. I'm putting it out there, you know. So people can hear me when I say I'm changing the way I treat my guests because being a guest is super tough. But I'm happy I did it. It's been an amazing experience.
Thank you.
Learned a lot from it.
No, thank you for that. Appreciate it. That's it for this episode. Thank you again for lending us your ears. It's truly an honor to serve each and every dreamer. You can continue to support us by liking, sharing, and following us on our social media pages. The links are all in the show notes. We have so many exciting projects and ventures in store for you. Until next time, keep dreaming.
Born and raised in the motherland, chasing a better life. Story of an immigrant.
Concrete pastures.
Concrete pastures.
Concrete pastures.